Hi students, today we are going to begin with a new chapter, that is how do organisms reproduce. A very interesting topic and interesting chapter. And the topics to be covered in this chapter are the introductory part. What is reproduction? Why is reproduction necessary? Types of reproduction, that is asexual and sexual reproduction, reproductive health and family planning. So last chapter we discussed about the various life process, right? That is nutrition, respiration, excretion, transportation, which takes place in our body and which is very important to survive, right? So here in this chapter we are going to discuss about a process, that is the reproduction, which is very important to continue the life. So what is reproduction? So reproduction, you know already studied in your lower classes. Reproduction, something is being reproduced, right? That is simply we can say that producing young ones. So why then a question arises, why is it necessary reproduction? What is the significance of reproduction? If reproduction, that process is not taking place, what is the result? Yes, we know, right? To continue the life, to continue the populations, reproduction is very important. And if, for example, if a particular species, particular category of organisms, if they don't reproduce, what happens? Yes, that species or the organisms, it may lead to extinct. That means that will be vanishing from this world, right? So reproduction is very important to continue the generation. So reproduction is the process by which living organisms produce new individuals of the same species. And reproduction is necessary for the survival and increase in the populations of a species. That means to continue the generation. Otherwise, the life will stop. And if organisms do not reproduce, their populations definitely will decrease and it may lead to extinction. So another, in a simple way, so the reproduction is the process by which living organisms produce new organisms similar to themselves. Similar to themselves means baby of a human beings definitely will look similar to human, right? Baby of an elephant will be similar to elephant. Then a question arises, do organisms create carbon copy of themselves? Carbon copy, that means exact copy. Yes, are we the exact copy being formed or produced? There are some changes, right? But some characters we are getting from our parents. But we cannot say that we are exact copy or the carbon copy, right? So the DNA, we already learned. What is DNA? What is the full form of DNA? Yes, Deoxyribo-nucleic acid. So where it is present? In the chromosome, that is inside the nucleus. So which is responsible for the characters which we receive from our parents, right? So the DNA, during reproduction, the reproductive cell produce two copies of this DNA which separate into cells. And the DNA copies will be similar but not identical to each other. That is why we seems to be having variations. But we may be getting characters from maybe from our parents. Some may be looking more similar to your father, some may be looking more similar to your mother, but there may be variation due to this. Okay, so this is the basis of variation and evolution of new species, and we learned already about what is evolution last year. So who is the father of evolution? Do you remember? Yes, Charles Darwin. And we already discussed about what is advanced organism or primitive organism or at lower or higher organisms, right? So which will adapt to the new climate or environment. That is evolution. Evolution helps to an organisms to adjust better to the environment. So is variation is important? So what is the importance of variation? Variation means the changes which gradually comes due to the evolution as evolution occurs. So variation is actually very important. How it is important? Because we know that the climate environment is going on changing. Yes, constantly it changes. The temperature changes, the climatic level, the water level, everything changes. It's imagine 100 years back or 80 years back, the climate was totally different with what we are now facing, right? So certain species, if they are not if they are not evolved, what will happen? They cannot survive or they cannot fight with this new climate environmental changes, and they cannot further live, and their species will go on decreasing, and it may lead to extinction. So there plays the importance of variations. So if there is variation in some individuals of a species, they may be able to survive to the changes in the environment. So variations in a species is necessary for the survival of different species and for the evolution of new species. So variation is important or not? It's very important. Then we are going to study in this chapter about the types of reproduction. So what do you mean by reproduction? The process by which living organisms produce new organisms similar to themselves, or simply we can say producing young ones. And we already learned about types of reproduction and reproduction in our 7th and 8th standard, right? And we know what are the two types of reproduction. Yes, sexual reproduction and asexual reproduction. So asexual reproduction means what? The reproduction in which new individuals are formed or produced from a single parent. What is sexual reproduction? That is fusion of male and female gametes, right? That is the reproduction in which two individuals are involved to produce a new individual. That means fusion of male and female. So this we need to study in detail. And here you can see the asexual reproduction is of different types, which we already learned. That is, they are fission, budding, regeneration, fragmentation, spore formation, and vegetative propagation. So this we need to study in detail, that is sexual reproduction as well as asexual reproduction, and this will be discussed in the next video. I hope the introductory part of this chapter is clear to you. So thank you.